Show. I'm Tosh Taylor.
And I'm Jenna Morton. And if you are watching us online, you can tell we are coming to you on location again. And if you haven't guessed exactly where it is, we are at the Moncton Public Library. And we are thrilled to have joining us today for the show, Lindsay Warner, who's the children's librarian here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for welcoming us into this space. Yeah. This is one of my favorite spaces to come to. And I have to say, I have not been here enough over the past year and a half.
No, me either. And my kids were so excited to get to come. They're like, we're going to the big library? Oh my gosh, there's so much to do. One went running for the books, one went running for the toys. So,
yeah. Yes. So, for people who maybe aren't familiar with the library, do you want to just give us a quick backgrounder on when you guys are open, what's happening right now?
For sure, yeah. So Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we're open from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. in the evening. And then rest of the week, Thursday through Saturday, we're open 10 to 5, just right downtown across from City Hall. So, yeah. Yeah,
it's a great space. Huge library, lots of great things happening all the time here, because every time I walk in, there's a new display. Yeah. That's one of my favorite things about coming to the library is the displays. And we asked you to kind of pull together a bit of a mini display for us here today. And what we wanted to start talking about was Remembrance Day is coming up. And one of the big things that I try to do each year with the kids is to find some books to read that help kind of give some context to what the day is. And the best place to do that is to come to the library.
Yeah.
So you've pulled a few books to help us with that topic. What do you have for us?
Yeah, so in our section right now, we actually have a pretty big display of lots of Remembrance Day books. It kind of depends what you're looking for, what you want to learn, what you want to really talk about and get into. But we have books that kind of touch on pretty much everything. So, like if you're looking for kind of like history books, First World War, Second World War, these are really great like visual books that go through the whole history of everything. But we also have really great like biographies, people in the war. This is a really great series, Little People, Big Dreams.
Ooh.
So they have just like cute illustrations, but it goes through a person's life. So Anne Frank, this one here, we have an Anne Frank book there. That's a picture book. So it's a really nice story of her life, like Wat May, who took down the Red Baron. So yeah,
I'm gonna
really
say I did not know that name.
Yeah,
even like the Red Baron, I'm like, oh, I know about that thanks to Snoopy.
I was just gonna say Snoopy. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that Anne Frank idea because then it gets kids kind of interested to actually read the novel when they get older too, and hear the whole story.
Yeah, and of course we have like the Diary of Anne Frank on our shelves and other novels I don't have here, but like the Dear Canada series, books like that, even Anne of Green Gables, some of those books take place during wartime, so they're really great to read while you're learning about this. This is a new book that we just got, Infinite Hope, A Black Artist's Journey from World War II to Peace. So Ashley Bryan, it's an autobiography, and he was called to join the war, and basically he didn't do much fighting, but he illustrated his whole experience.
His drawings and his journal entries.
So it's a really beautiful book, great for older kids who might be interested in like art and history at the same time. So it's really fantastic.
And a more diverse take on the war as well. This is lovely. Was he American or Canadian?
He was American, yeah.
Yeah, what a gorgeous book. I love when there are new books and new takes on historical events for people to get into.
It's really important to tell that story too. We also have like, you know, In Flanders Fields, but books that kind of go with that. So this book, we have it in English as well, A Poppy is to Remember. It's a really beautiful story, and it just goes through kind of like why we wear the poppy around Remembrance Day and what it means for soldiers, for our country. It's a beautiful book.
Yeah, I think that's a very often on the reading list in like kindergarten, grade 1 type in the school system. And Heather Patterson, these are Canadian as well. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's fantastic to have it. And both, what I love too is when we have books that are in both French and English. The times when I can take out both or have both on the table while we're visiting and kind of be able to go back and forth, because my kids are in French immersion, but I don't understand enough French to read it properly with them. So I really love when I can find those books that are available in more than one language but have the same storyline.
Yeah. We also have, and these, it kind of depends again what you're wanting to talk about and get into, but we have Why Is Mom So Mad and Why Is Dad So Mad? And this really gets into the effects of war and PTSD and how that touches families in different ways. We have other books about just, I think it's called A Dad to Be Proud Of, and that comes from like the government of Canada. Like, it's a really nice story about people who go to war and what that is for their family. So these are really, really great books.
And I think it's so nice to see some of the more modern ones. I know a lot of what is still kind of in the curriculum and that teachers go to is the stuff that we grew up with, which is more about World War II, World War I. But there's been so much from the Afghanistan war and, you know, people that are currently serving that it's nice to have some of the more modern things to be able to draw into that as well. Yeah, I know we use a lot of books to kind of give context around some of those things too. You know, you were talking about, you know, how Anne of Green Gables, some of that is set in wartime, and it's neat to make those connections. I know I've got Deborah Ellis's Breadwinner series on the shelf at home, and I keep kind of putting it in front of my daughter. I know you can handle reading this now. It's really good. And it gives that kind of context of, without talking about war and conflict, but it gives some context as to how so many Canadians ended up in Afghanistan.
Excellent. I'm impressed with, because it's not something I have thought to bring my kids to the library to find books. Especially, I'm just enthralled with the Anne Frank, because I love the Diary of Anne Frank, as many do. So now I'm like, oh, I'm gonna take both of those ones home with me today, borrow them for a bit, because that's such a great idea, and it's such an important story for our daughters to know and our sons to know, and I think it's a really great way to carry it on. I think that's fantastic. And this one here that you have in front too. I obviously am a big supporter of how women took part in the war as well. And we've talked about that many times on the podcast, especially down at the Albert County Museum, and the lengths that the women in Albert County and all around the greater Moncton area went to make sure that people got their packages from home, and they, you know, got fresh socks and jam and whatever else they wanted to send there. It's very important, the war effort that women did, and right down to having jobs right there alongside as well. So I'm super pumped about all of these books, actually.
And one of the other things that we asked you to kind of to pull out today was not just books about Remembrance Day, but other topics that parents might be struggling with that they might not realize, oh my goodness, the best resource I might have is coming to the library to find books that can help, not just from a parenting point of view in terms of, you know, what to expect when you're expecting type books, but actual books that can help you talk to your kids.
We have a whole collection here, and we struggle with where to put it on our shelves, but we call it the Parents Collection. And all of the books, we kind of choose carefully what goes in there, but they touch on what I tend to call like tough topics. So that could be really anything. A lot of them are manners, behavior, bullying, but they also go into like potty training, making new friends, and then the really tough stuff, like losing someone important in your family, if like there's a separation going on. There's all sorts of things. But those aren't just in our Parents Collection. We have stuff just throughout the library that we can find that kind of really hit those tough topics. So I pulled out a few. Marshall Armstrong is new to our school. So that one's all about, there's a new boy, he shows up and he's a little different, but they end up making friends. And then at the end of the book, a new girl shows up and they say, oh, just come sit with us for the first week. We'll be friends. It's really sweet. Todd Parr, fantastic.
I love Todd Parr. Todd Parr is the best.
So this is the I'm Not Scared book. So it's kind of like, you know, sometimes I'm scared to ride on the plane, but I'm not scared when I see all the clouds and how pretty it is.
Oh, that's
it's
lovely.
really
I haven't
sweet.
read that one.
Yeah.
No, we've had quite a collection of Todd Parr books at home, but now that my kids are a bit older, we've kind of moved out of them, and so I haven't seen them. I don't know if it's new or old, but it's one that I'm like, oh, I know that one. I know that, we've got a thankful book and a family book, and they're very, very inclusive and very fun to read.
Yes,
He just writes so well.
And to give you kind of an idea of how like vast the parents' collection is, this one's new, Mama Bird Lost an Egg. So this goes through miscarriage and it's just a story about little birds and they lost their egg and how to talk about that, which is really hard.
Yes.
And how wonderful, though, to have a children's book that if you've lost in your family, that you could sit and read something that could touch on it without
to
being
explain it.
Yeah.
Goodbye Cancer Garden. So a lot of these books too, if they're in our parents' collection, they'll often include a note, either at the front of the book or the back of the book, from a professional who might give parents tips on how to really take it further and have these conversations.
Whoa, what a brilliant idea. That's amazing.
And so wonderful too, like you said, to have them even just within the collection sometimes as well, because it's important for kids who aren't necessarily going through these things to read them at different times and have that empathy or that understanding if something should happen in their family. Yeah,
like this is an example of that, where this is just in our nonfiction collection, so Divorce is the Worst. And we have a whole collection of her books where it just goes through like, you know, why it sucks and how that really affects the family. And it's a really interesting take on something.
Looks like an eeasy reader too, right?
Yeah.
So especially for young kids.
It really tackles something hard to talk about.
Well, and I love too that from the first look at that book, it seems like it's very much kind of like, no, this sucks. Like we're not going to try to make this all roses and wonderful, which I feel like a lot of the books I remember from childhood very much tried to give you that kind of sugar-coated, everything will be okay messaging, which we know is not. There's a place for positivity, but there's a place for acknowledging people's feelings, right?
Exactly. Losing someone you love. This one is really sweet. And these little mice just kind of go about their day doing things that remind them of the person that they lost and how you can do that too. And it's really sweet. But we also have just like learning how to share. We have how to pee.
I was reading the back of this one. This potty training book is from a doctor. And it talks about how when he was teaching his son how to use the washroom, and he came up with like the rocket style and the superhero style, and I'm kind of like, what are those styles? I feel like maybe I could still use some of those in my house. Or maybe it'll be messier. I don't know.
We actually, when we went through potty training with my second, at that point I knew that there was books like this at the library. I didn't with my oldest, but she was, you know, the oldest sometimes is easier to do anything. The second, not so much. And that's what we did. We had so many potty books at the house. It was ridiculous. We just like flowed through them constantly. And then thank goodness one day it finally clicked. I don't know what book was the reason for it. But
there's all of them. You need all the books and you need to come to the library to borrow them.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's unbelievable how you don't realize. And for a lot of these things, I think, people don't realize how much it affects the kids too. So having the ability to, like, maybe you as a parent don't know how to talk to the child, but like you said, you've got those notes in there from professionals.
Exactly.
Sometimes the book can do the dirty work for you as well, right? Yeah.
Well, and I would guess that sometimes the librarian ends up doing some of that as well. Do you guys end up kind of helping people along, I would think?
Yeah. Often people will come in with questions, kind of trying to navigate these topics. And the great thing about our libraries is, like, you know, we can borrow books from anywhere in the province. So if we don't have it here in Moncton and we see a book that will really suit what you're going through, like we'll pull it off the shelves from somewhere else, send it here,
and vice versa. If you're listening or watching somewhere else in the province and you maybe have a smaller library that it doesn't have the vast collection, they can tap into that and borrow from the other libraries, which is, it's so lucky that we have that. I think we really do take for granted how fantastic our public library system is.
It is unbelievable. Actually, when I first discovered that we could come here and borrow a book and then return it in Riverview.
Game changer.
Game changer. It really was, though. Like, it's crazy how much of a difference that makes, even when it's just across the river. But if I'm not coming to Moncton that day and that book has to be back, then, you know, you just pop it in the drop box there and everything's copacetic. Or if you happen to be down here and then you go up to, you know, Campbellton and you can just leave it in Campbellton.
And if COVID's a challenge for, like, you or your family, we also have a mail-to-me service where we will, like, you can sign up for that and we'll mail books to your house.
Unreal.
So, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and there's also online, right? If you have your library card, you can access things for your Kindle and
ebooks, magazines.
Yeah, audiobooks, my fave. Especially times we've gone on long trips with the kids. Oh yeah, we have listened to so many fantastic audiobooks thanks to the library system.
That's real. I just joined a book club, and that's going to be very helpful for me. Like a secret weapon now.
There you go. Listen to the audiobook. And yeah, no, it's a very simple process to access. Like, I'm very impressed with it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Putting that in my back pocket, and I'm sure I'm not the only. Everybody's like, taking notes. Yeah.
So, what other programs, what other services like that are people maybe not as aware of as you would like them to be about what services you offer through the library?
Well, even during COVID, we still have programs going on. For children, we have story times happening on Zoom. Those are on Tuesdays in English and Thursdays in French. Right now we're doing Babies at the Library. That's also on Zoom, so Zoom Babies, which is a lot of fun. And then for adults upstairs, we have so many book clubs. Like, it's a lot of fun right now. Yeah.
It's exciting.
It is exciting.
It's all on our Facebook page, on our website too. You can find that all on the calendar online, so yeah.
What are some of the trends and differences that you're seeing in the way people are, kids especially, accessing the library, the types of books they're going for? Are there interesting kind of things that you're seeing pop up lately?
That's a tough question.
I know, and I threw that at you. I didn't. That wasn't on our list of things I told her I was going to ask about.
I mean, since COVID, not much has changed. It's everyone's still borrowing a lot of books.
That's fantastic.
Awesome. Stocking up on books whenever there's a new lockdown kind of thing. You know, reading graphic novels is still pretty big. Series for chapter books.
I'm going to throw another question at you that wasn't, but I know that this just came out and we're big Dragon Masters fans.
Number 20.
Yeah, number 20. How long does it take for a brand new edition to come to the library? Like, if she just released it yesterday, will you have it tomorrow, kind of thing?
Not tomorrow. It's tough to answer. It doesn't take too long, but from when a book is released to when we purchase it to when it's on the shelf, like, that might take couple months.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah.
And do you...
Once it's here, once it's in the building, that's when you can start putting holds on it, and then it'll be out in the world, and you'll be at, like, 50th on the holds list.
Yes, absolutely. You, as the children's librarian, do you have to read all the books before they go out?
I don't have to, but I get to.
Yeah.
So that's the joy.
I was gonna say, and that's gonna be kind of the nice thing about being the children's librarian. You can feel like you could probably read all of
the
them,
new books
right?
before they go out.
Well, and it's not like, you know, being in charge of adult fiction and be like, oh, all the new books that'll each take me a week to read. I'm like, I could read through these. I mean, they're not all, you know, little kid books that only take a few minutes. There are lots of chapter books, like you say, but yeah, that does kind of sound like a dream job to me.
It is a great joy.
Yeah, that was one of my, I think probably my second official volunteering role was working in our library in junior high. Yeah. Yep, my friend and I were library volunteers. We were really cool.
Yeah. I think you would be.
I loved it. I can still tell you some of the books that I read.
Yeah.
And I can right now, I can see myself back in that, T.L. Sullivan library right now.
Just hanging out in the corner, reading books.
No, we get to be behind the circulation desk. It was like, you got first dibs on things. It was the best job.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I have a sister that's a librarian, so I totally get it.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. She is living her best life. She just loves it so much.
Yeah, we do get to do crafts all day. That is one thing that, in lieu of programs at the library that we're doing right now, we have little craft kits that kids can come pick up, and it has all the materials in it to make the craft at home. So those have been like super popular this year.
I think 5 kids that are going to be leaving with some today, actually. Yeah.
How often do you switch out the crafts?
Depends how long they take to go out, but usually every week, every 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
We're craft machines.
I love it.
That's absolutely amazing. Okay, so other things that happen in the library, like you said, most things are online right now. But there are lots of toys for kids to come play with here as well. Yeah. And what about the tablets that we have here? Are tablets still going right now with COVID as well?
Yeah, we have those out. You just sign your name, we sanitize them. Tablets are out, toys are out.
Okay.
Sections open. It's normal. Yeah. It's a fun place to be.
Yeah. I believe it to be true.
Well, and it's such, like I said, it's just such an important resource in the community for more than just literary needs.
Yes.
And so we're very, very glad that you let us come in here today and spend this time with you and let our kids spend some time feeling like they were like only ones in the big library. They feel very special this morning. Yes. So thank you for that, and for all these books that you pulled to share with us. And we'll pop some of the titles that we were talking about in the show notes, so you can check that out. And if people want to follow you on Facebook and keep up to date on what's happening, how do they find you?
Yeah, so it's Biblio Moncton Library on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. That's where you can find the library. Just give us a follow. Our website is monctonpubliclibrary.ca, and that's where we have our calendar of events for children and for adults here. So, yeah.
Great. Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you again so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
It's been a wealth of knowledge.
And just, I realized for anyone who hasn't been here physically and doesn't know where we're at, we're right on Main Street in Moncton, just kind of right across from City Hall. And it's a beautiful space to come check out if you're visiting the city. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.